Hello again, Dominic Tropher, and welcome to another video, and this one's going to be something video game related. Now, I know I've not really done much video game related stuff, lately, but obviously I did my Mighty Number 9 two-part last week, which I actually quite enjoyed watching. I think it was really, really good. But this one's going to be about my thoughts about the online service Miiverse. Now, for those that don't know what Miiverse is, basically it was an online social network made by Nintendo, released, or it was really used on both the Wii U and the 3DS. And basically, it basically allowed you to talk to other people through the service, within different communities of games. And each game had their own community. So, for example, there was a community for Mario Kart 8. There was a community for Super Smash Bros. Wii U. There was one for Super Mario Maker. And there was even a lot of them for different retail games, as well as the eShop releases and the Virtual Console. And basically, it was... I definitely think it was an interesting service that was used. And it was nice to see people's opinions, or get to know people's opinions about certain games that released on the Wii U and the 3DS. And I definitely had a good, few conversations with some interesting people within that service. And it's nice to hear what people's opinions were on certain games, especially the old retro stuff, the Virtual Console. So it was nice to hear people's opinions about certain NES games, certain Super Nintendo games, and Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance, and even TurboGrafx. It was nice to hear people's thoughts about these certain games, and especially with the the older retro games. It was just a nice thing to hear people's thoughts about it. But I know there were other people that wanted certain games to be released on that service. So a lot of people posted about certain games that they wanted to see release on the Wii U or even the 3DS. And I think one game that definitely made it a lot more interesting was Earthbound, aka Mother 2. Now, the thing with Earthbound was it was a game that people demanded so long to see a re-release. There were a lot of people, from what I've heard, petitioning to see a re-release on the Wii Virtual Console. And unfortunately that didn't happen. The reason why people never saw it happen was because Nintendo had a bit of a question about the whole, music issues, because the game, if you've not played Earthbound, or you've never heard of it, the game has a lot of music from different composers, and obviously they need the license, for that. Or there's certain references in there, such as the Blues Brothers, but they're not named that. I think they're named I think it's the Runaway 5. I think that's what they're named. And there were little things, obviously, that they would need the license for. But with the Wii U, because of the fact you could, talk to people, there was a lot of people on the Mother 2 community because the game had been re-released in Japan. And there were people demanding that game to see re-release outside of Japan. People saying, well, I want to see Mother 2 released, on the Wii U. I don't want to pay like £200 for a cartridge of the game, from the Super Nintendo. And that's what people are saying. And there were even people from Australia and even Europe, as well as the UK, that were demanding to see this game get a release for the first time. And after a bit of time, there was an announcement during a Nintendo Direct by Secretary Iwata, who announced it, and he said, "Oh, Earthbound is getting released outside of Japan on the Wii U Virtual Console," and people went crazy, mad for it. And it was, I remember when I heard that, I was going, crazy as well. For, oh my god, I can finally play Earthbound, for the first ever time. Officially and stuff, and that's just how it goes. So I've never actually played it. Never knew about the game until the internet. And I played a bit of it. I've not played the full game. But from what I've played, it's a really, really good game, and it was just a nice, nice thing to see that. And I bet that game must have made a lot of people actually go out and buy a Wii U. You know what I mean? People might say, well, what the heck is this, a 20-year-old game? Yeah, but for us in the UK and Europe, this was the first time we officially got the game. You know what I mean? And it was just amazing, you know, to have that. It was really, really good. And I think that was one of the best announcements, you know, by Nintendo back in 2013. One of the best things. But there were other games that released in Japan that we never ever, you know, saw. I know there was Choo Choo Rocket from the Game Boy Advance that got a Wii U VC release in Japan. And I remember a few times I literally commented on that community post about the games. You know, so I kept saying, you know, bring Choo Choo Rocket, you know, Game Boy Advance outside of Japan on the Wii U. Because I would have literally bought that game, you know what I mean, if it got re-release. But unfortunately it didn't. It was only released in Japan. And there was actually a moment one time where I was actually thinking about importing a Wii U from Japan. But I thought, well, it's going to be expensive for importing, and you know, it might cost a lot of money. So I just scrapped the whole idea. I thought, nah, I won't really do that. You know, that's just how it goes. And there were other games that, like, I know, like the Dragon Quest series, that some of those have not been re-released outside, or even released outside of Japan. And there were people demanding, you know, Nintendo to, you know, bring them over. And that's just how it goes. I know people wanted Mother 3. That was one game that was rumoured so much about getting a re-release, and obviously that didn't happen. But it was an interesting little thing, I think, for what they did and stuff. One thing I liked with the 3DS was it. I think it was also nice, you know, to check out the, you know, what people saying about its virtual console, especially the Game Gear stuff. You know, I commented a lot on the Game Gear VC on the 3DS through Miiverse, and it was just a little interesting thing to have. And another thing was that certain games actually implemented Miiverse, such as you know, Super Mario Maker. Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Bros. Wii U, and a bunch of others. And I think Mario Maker and Smash Bros. Wii U are actually two interesting games, because due to the fact that Nintendo doesn't use Miiverse anymore, they've not used it for months, those extra features are no longer implemented. Because there's one, I think it's the Miiverse stage or whatever, in Smash Bros. Wii U, and you don't see comments on it anymore, because obviously that feature's taken down. Super Mario Maker, people create levels and they've got comments on them. And I remember I played one level last month, and I didn't understand why the heck I was losing. And basically what ended up happening was, it was one of those levels that was basically based on comments, and basically questions and stuff. And because of that, it didn't really work that much. It didn't really work anymore, and that was a bit of a problem with Super Mario Maker. When you leave comments on there, you don't have that feature. And I remember thinking, I thought, oh, that's not really a big deal. But when I played that level, I thought, it is sort of a big deal that we don't have Miiverse anymore. You know what I mean? And that's just how it goes. But yeah, it was an interesting little, you know, service that Nintendo used. One thing I did like was that you were able to download any of your comments or posts or whatever. You were able to submit that feature that would be sent to your email address, obviously before the service was officially discontinued. And obviously I have them saved on my email and my mobile phone as well. And it's sort of nice to look back, you know what I mean, at those posts and stuff. I sort of, well, you know, it sort of was an interesting little thing. I know a lot of people didn't really like it. A lot of people did like it though, you know what I mean? It was an interesting little thing that Nintendo did. It wasn't perfect, but I'd love to see them make some sort of successor for the Switch in the far future. That'd be a really, really good thing to see. But obviously that's not my choice, that's obviously Nintendo's choice. You know, obviously I don't work at Nintendo, you know what I mean? Because I had one friend that thought I worked at Sega for some reason, or thought I was able to submit ideas to Sega. That's not the way it goes, you know what I mean? This is, you know, how it goes. Give us Choo Choo Rocket 2! Choo Choo Rocket 2! No, I don't work for Sega, you know what I mean? That's just how it goes. At the meantime, I don't work, you know what I mean? So, but yeah. I was going to say, yeah, it's a little interesting video and stuff, so that's how it goes and stuff. So I just want to say, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. One last thing I want to say is, I don't know if any of you have been sort of going through these sort of issues with YouTube and stuff, but a user, a friend of mine, 13UCube, has been going through a few issues with notifications and stuff, and it made me think about whether or not my subscribers, you know, the audience that I've got on here, are actually getting my notifications. So if you are not receiving any sort of notifications, one thing I just want to let you know is make sure you press or click whatever the notification bell, where it shows that you'll get all notifications. Make sure you click on that, because I don't know if all of you are getting notified of my videos. So I wanted to let you all know that, because spreading the word out, as my good friend 13UCube says, to spread the word out there. So yeah. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. And my next video will be my Alex Francis sketch on Friday. And on Saturday, I'll be uploading 2 videos. Yeah, I'll be uploading 2 videos on Saturday. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all later. Bye!